Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Railway Empire Great Britain and Ireland Transport Revolution. So, we need to expand into Scotland. That is very much a given. We need to deliver 120 loads of cargo, nondescript cargo, into Edinburgh, and we also need to transport passengers direct from Liverpool to Glasgow as well. So we need a staging point, and I've decided to stage from Carlisle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of rework some of these lines a little bit. I'm going to get rid of this freight line just here. So this connection here that we have, that bit there is going to disappear. What I'm also going to do is just kind of rework our connection a little bit through here. So whereas we currently have two tracks running in on either side, we're going to have passenger tracks in the middle and then freight lines on the sides, which will then go off to these two businesses. We still need these to deliver goods into Liverpool and other cities, but we are going to scrap the connection that runs through to Middlesbrough. And then what we'll do is we'll run passenger lines through from Liverpool up into Carlisle, like that, and then from Carlisle we're going to go and we're going to split. So we're going to look at running a passenger service line. We're going to kind of skip past Dumfries and kind of make our way across here. We might stop at Ayr, but more likely we're going to go straight to Glasgow. And as we approach Glasgow, we'll have a split somewhere probably around about here, so the other line can go off towards Edinburgh, and then we'll run all our freight from Liverpool and Carlisle through to Scotland, which means we may well need to change our connections over here a little bit. At the moment, you can see here we've got a lot of freight sort of coming off this way. These freight lines will get rerouted because this connection here is going to disappear. These will get routed onto this connection here, and then this split, instead of being a freight line running out this way, that will almost certainly become a passenger line to link up to Carlisle as well. So we can then transport goods from Middlesbrough through to Carlisle and then on our way up towards Edinburgh. It'll give us two different ways of transporting goods nice and quickly, two main routes. And we could possibly even send goods from Newcastle up into Edinburgh as well, but I think that might be a bit too complicated to try and get the track in. It's not so much the routing of the track itself, it's the fact that we have other lines that we have to contend with, which means we're going to have bridges that we're going to have to build and tunnels to bypass what's already here, and this is where it's going to get tricky. So we'll start off doing what we need to do, which is over here. We need to break this connection here. So let's figure out where I want that split to be. And it's essentially all of this. All of this is going to come out. So if we take that line out, object is in use. There's a train on there. So let's delete the train first of all. Take those lines out. That leaves that station there, no problem at all. And we do the same over here. Take those lines out. And now that becomes the de facto connection over here. So we have a signal there. Let me check the signals. And we have those signals there. So let's just take those ones in, take those ones out completely, and that fixes that connection there. Now I need to rework this little bit of track over here. So this is where it's going to get a bit more complicated. Have I got trains on these lines at the moment? I've got that one running out there at the moment. Alright, so we need to run time through a little bit. Hope no more trains come through, which they are going to. That's a bit of a pain. Let's quickly get those through their various checkpoints. please don't stop for supplies. Just go straight through. Go on, go straight through.
An exquisite investment opportunity that I'm not going to waste.
Gone straight through. And there as well, all the way up to the station. Okay, that's good. Right, so, before they come back, this is where it gets a bit messy. So, I need to take out that line there. And I need to take out that line there. Because I just want to build the passenger lines first of all. So we'll run that along this way. Where is Carlisle? Carlisle's over there. So let's run that connection to there. Let's avoid the big, expensive mountain. I'll push that out as far as we can. Cut into the hillside a little bit to keep the gradient down. Push north of the fish farm. Again, we're going to have to kind of cut into the hill a little bit. Trying to avoid making a very big, expensive line. Despite the fact we have cash, we're going to need a lot of it. So I don't want to spend too much. That'll do. That's okay. I can live with those gradients. And I can live with those expenses. So we'll run the passengers through there, like that. You know what? It's probably going to be easier if I just take out that train. We can always factor that back in again. So what we are going to need, as always, is a bit of spacing track for the bridge. Let's see. Really make that a bit shorter. Let's take that piece out completely. Let's try this again. I want that to be a much smoother connection. I want it to run parallel and not have that really bad kick out. So it needs to run to about there. Okay, there we go. Same again, we need a spacer running through here to the other side of the bridge. It's just a lot of bridges along here, so going to be a lot of spacing track that we're going to need to place. It'll all get taken out, but again, it gives us the opportunity, once these are in, to figure out what we're going to do with our supply towers. We're going to need a couple on this line, because it's quite a big run all the way through to Carlisle. Let's plonk that to there. I think that'll do. Take that up to there. Nice gradual step. Bring it all the way around. All the way down. And across. And because we don't have much space to work with in Scotland itself, we're going to have to try and do things a little bit carefully. Oh, am I going to have enough space for a parallel line there? Oh, I don't think I am. I don't think there's going to be enough space to put a second line alongside this. Ah, that's a problem. So, we need to undo this section of track just here. So if I run that like that to there, take that bit out, we just need to put a bigger step in there, that's all. So we'll kind of run that to about that angle. Just put a bigger step so that we have got more space to play around with. There we go. So now we should have the space that we need to do what we need to do. Again, bring the passing line down, or the spacing line down to the edge of the bridge. Just there. And start another piece there. Run that to about there. Like that. And that should now give us enough of an angle to connect reasonably smoothly. We're still coming a little bit too far, look, so let's just trim that off a bit. So let's try that again. To there. Step in. Ah, there we go, that's better. That's neater. So, working from the opposite side this time. We'll put in the first of the freight lines. And just to make sure I've definitely got the space, let's put the second freight line in as well. That's going to want to come off on this corner. We'll need to reposition the signals. That's not a major issue. This whole section is going to need to be rebuilt. So most of this episode is just going to be laying down track as we try and figure out a way through here. For some reason, that's actually deformed the terrain and not built a bridge. That's going to cause an issue. Can I correct that? Not really. I don't know. Why has it done that? Why has it built a weird blob like that? Maybe we're going to have to raise... I'm going to have to take that back out again. Take all of the passing bits out as well. We need to completely rebuild the line. It's just not worked the way I wanted it to. So I'm going to take this out as well. Which train is this? Forest Cattle to Liverpool. That one's going to stop there because there's no direct route through. It's trying to get to Robinson Sea Farm. That's fine. We'll let this train go through. And then I can take this bit of track out. We'll go straight through. Don't stop. Good stuff. Right, so let's take that bit out. Let's have complete freedom now to work this connection. So I actually want to raise the connection up a little bit, just to make sure that it's going to build the bridge without any issue. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's built it a lot higher than I expected. That's my space. Alright, so let's do that. I don't mind a long bridge there, because at least it means we're going to get a proper connection. Now we need to reposition the line over here to avoid the mountain. And to try and keep that gradient under control as well. Cut down a bit. can live with that. That's okay. So, curve this line around underneath. And let's build the connection there. So, now we need a spacer for the bridge that goes over here. Over the, I think, what is the Mersey? Oops. Oh no, this isn't the Mersey, this is a small connection. The Mersey is further down the line. There's the Mersey. Or is that... No, that's the Mersey. I don't know what river this is. My my knowledge of geography is not what it used to be. Forgotten a lot of stuff in my many years. But that should allow us. There we go. Nice. To build ourselves the other bridge. Excellent stuff. So we can now rebuild this over here. Take that kind of that way. And then if we trim this, we can get this line rebuilt. Coming out this way. So it's just a temporary thing. We may have to change this connection as well going forward, but for now, this will do. Going to need to reposition that supply tower because that's no longer a viable location. And of course, that means putting the track back in. There we go. That is going to connect to there. So again, we want to try and follow that round. Keep it a relatively smooth line rather than a big step. That looks okay. Bring this around. And this is going to bend in here. Like that. There we go. And then this will connect somewhere over here. We put the connection there. And that leaves enough space for a passing loop. Just. Let's just drag that round a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we've reconnected Robinson Sea Farm and Foster Cattle. We're building our freight line. We're going to need individual supply towers. Is this my passing? Yes, this is my passing line. Or, sorry, spacing line, so. That's the freight. That's the freight. As I was trying to say earlier, before I got kind of sidetracked, we're going to have to do things a little bit differently when we get into Scotland itself, because we just don't have the space for a big station with signal control, and we don't even have the space to kind of put in our own kind of routing. So we'll just have a 4-track station, which we can fit, but with 2 dedicated freight lines and then 2 dedicated passenger lines. Instead of doing passengers through the middle and then freight either side, it'll be freight on one half of the station, passengers on the other half. So we'll just have to route our tracks a little bit differently when we actually get into Scotland, which we can do. It's with, you know, as long as we have routing control leaving Carlisle going into Scotland, we can do that no problem at all. It's going to make things a bit more complicated if we then try and expand in other directions as well. Actually, that's the passing bit, isn't it? So we just need to be wary of that as we move forward. So here's our freight line. Running through, create a bridge, bring this around. And connect. Why wouldn't that build? We've got a slight problem here. What is the problem here? Okay. That's a bit odd. If I move this to here. Build that bit. Maybe if I take that out. Come on, build. There we go. Right, problem averted. So, we've got our connection to Carlisle. So from Carlisle, let's see. I need to run up to Glasgow, but I also need to run up to Edinburgh as well. I've got two choices. I could run a line to Edinburgh and then loop around into Glasgow, but that's going to be really messy and expensive because I'm going to have to build a very big bridge through here. I'm already going to have a lot of costs expanding up here to go over or under existing lines, most probably over. And the gradients are going to be really steep, so we're going to need some pretty strong locomotives just to run in Scotland. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a line sort of up this way. So we've got this kind of recessed bit down here, and we're up here on a hill. So already we're going to have a bridge, but we've got the advantage of his tracks already being lower. Is it his or hers? I can't remember if this is the dock or if this is Beatrice. I think this is the dock. So we can go straight over Doc Murphy's lines. I'm wondering whether or not to go into Dumfries, and I think I'm going to bypass Dumfries. I think I'm going to run through this mountain as well, and then the line will split at this point, and then go off to Edinburgh, and then go off to Glasgow. But this is where it gets tricky. If I'm trying to do a split, I'm going to have my lines converge before I then split and then have them separate out again at that point. So let's start by putting a large station in Glasgow if I can. Yeah, I can fit a station there.
Ah, you still haven't understood that this town only needs one station. Mine.
So, let's see. These lines are going to go this way. And there we go. We've got that nice bridge that goes straight out of the station and goes straight over his track there and then raises up on that grading there. It's a little pricey. Pay no attention to the full thing there. We're currently on about 160,000 of bridges. But I need to make sure that there's enough space to work things out properly. So the line wants to split somewhere around here. This needs to come up. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this without causing massive problems. Again, the bridge over his tracks there. This is going to need to come down a bit. Now I've got a big gradient. So I've changed the position. Okay, there we go, 4%. I can kind of live with that. It was 2% before I moved it, but yeah, it's a necessary movement. A bridge going over there, not too bad. 3% tunnel. That goes over. I want to go under his lines. What happens if I try and go over? Oof, look at the price of that. 500,000 on bridges. Let's bring that line through here. Really trying to keep the cost down if I can. This is not going to be cheap or easy to plan. That's a 6% gradient, that's too much. Alright, there we go. So that can't change, that has to stay at that kind of angle. Line runs out pretty straight. And this is where it's going to change. So, two of these lines, the bottom two here, these are going to be my freight in and out, and this is going to be my passenger in and out, or possibly the other way around. In fact, let's think about this. The passengers don't necessarily need to run to Edinburgh. The freight does. Passengers need to run to Glasgow. So, I'm trying to think how this is going to split. Logic would suggest that I make the top two lines here freight, so that they can come from here and then just go direct around over here into Edinburgh, and then passenger lines here, which I could then run that way into the top two lines there at Glasgow. Ideally, I need to go through the mountain about here, I think, instead of here. So let's try routing this way instead. It'll be a much shorter tunnel if I can get the angle right, which potentially means a lot cheaper. Be really careful of the angles as well as the gradients. I could really do with that not running quite so. Maybe if I put a slight kink. Had a 0% for a second. There we go. But that is not quite high enough to start a bridge. It's going to have to go 5%, really. 5%? That's 4%. I need a slight spacer. Just a slight one. Need a small little bit of gradient, nothing massive. 5%'s too high. I don't think I'm going to get this quite the way I want it. Alright, let's take that out. Can I... I'm just going to have to put a bigger step in over there. It's going to be doable. It's going to be mostly bridge all the way through here, which is just too expensive. Unless I can find a clever way of keeping that reduced a little bit. See, if I go further up the hill, it just makes that more expensive. Okay, so the line will cut through like that. Kind of come out this way. Again, I've got to be careful with the tunnel as well, because I'm going to need to do a space between the tunnels. So maybe that tunnel needs to come at an angle more down that way, so I've got space to then cut through a bit higher up for the second set of lines. Let's put that routing around that way, perhaps. That's a 2% gradient there, and then I kind of want this line to come down on the approach, but without being too steep that it's going to cause a nightmare for the trains trying to get up there. That's not going to work, is it? It's a straight 4% all the way. It's very, very fiddly. I don't think I'm going to get it much cheaper than that, doing what I want it to do and going in the way I want it to go. So, let's see. That's platform 3. Excuse me. To platform 3. Yeah, got to go with that. Build that all the way through as a parallel line. At least the parallel is much, much cheaper, because we've already built those bridges and we've already built those tunnels, so we get a massive discount on the second line. Okay. This is where it's going to get very, very tricky, though. The smallest of small bits there. So I can run this. Look at that, see? This is where it's going to be really, really awkward. Again, because I'm going to be really space limited. Smallest of small bits. Can I get this to kind of follow that natural curve all the way around? Doesn't want to play ball over there. I can kind of get it over here. Gradient's not right though. Maybe it's a height issue. Okay, so why is it problematic over here? Alright, I wonder if I try and do that instead. Can I drag that a little bit closer before it tries to snap? Sometimes I wish you could turn off the auto snap feature. As handy as it is, it does create its fair share of problems at times. See, now my gradients are all screwed up. Let's build that. Let's take out that. And let's hope that this isn't going to be too steep coming in here. 2%. I can live with 2%. Actually, it can be 4% if I straighten out a little bit. Which it doesn't really look like it's worth doing, so we'll do that instead. So there we go. So we now have two separate, completely dedicated lines running in. And I've got to merge those together. So that I can then split them off towards Edinburgh. And we kind of need flat ground to do that, and there isn't much of it, so this is where it gets complicated. So I need those to join there, like that. Just take out the little space of it. So we're going to have a single connection just across this little bit here. I need to build a station here in Edinburgh. I mean, I could just about put one of those in, but that's probably going to be easier, just so I've got more space to play about with.
I haven't understood that this town only needs one station. Mine.
So let's try. Let's try routing this line down to here. Let's try and bring it out here by the tunnel. As close as I can. I've decided what I'll do is I'll run dual lines up to this point here and then have them merge just here, just before the tunnels. I think that's going to be the easiest way for us to do that. I'm assuming I'm going to have space to do that there. Or am I just making this too complicated on myself? I think I'm just overcomplicating this. Let's just take those lines out. I'm just going to run. Oh, you can't downgrade a station once you've... once you've placed it, once you've upgraded it, you can't downgrade it. So let's take that out. And let's go with... Actually, no, I could have left that in there. Ah, damn it. Never mind. Let's try that again. We can reposition it really,
Have you really
right
not got
up
the
there.
message that your station has no future here?
So we'll just have a single line that's going to have to handle freight and passengers, and then split off. as it comes down here onto these passing lines here. So we'll make these a little bit longer so that we can try and put in some passing loop or some switchovers. We'll try and build this like an old-fashioned station. Like we used to do before the updated stations came out, where we manually put in our own diamonds, and then we're going to have to just route the trains manually going into the platforms as well. And we can kind of get away with it a little bit because we have a bit more space. We have space on this side, we just don't have the space on that side. So it's kind of like a one-sided connection. We'll just about go there. Go, and we'll put one in the middle. There we go. Is that all I need, actually? That might be all I need. Yeah, that's all I'm going to need. So I can take those bits out, and I can actually take those bits out and just do it like that. There we go. Right. So we have a direct line from Glasgow to Carlisle, and let's use these to create a direct line through to Edinburgh, which means we can probably actually take these out. I know it's just it seems like we're deleting and rebuilding for the sake of it, but now that I've got this new idea in my head, this makes more sense. We can make that a more direct route. Possibly a little bit cheaper as well. Possibly. No guarantees on that, but we can certainly make it more a friendlier route for our trains in terms of gradients. If we route this correctly, so we can bring this line down a bit. I wonder, would it work out better if I actually cut around the base of the mountain like that? Well, we are bypassing Dumfries. I suppose we could go through Dumfries, but I kind of want to bypass it. It would certainly make the mess of bridges around the edge of Carlisle a lot easier. We have this kind of route this way. Cut through at a slightly different angle. Cut through this way. Go under the lines. It's a 7% gradient there. I can reduce it by doing that. Four percent, 2%, 5%. Sure, we can get better than that if we're careful. 2%, 4%. Had it a second ago. I've lost it now. Where's my 4%, 2%? I'll take a 4 and a 3. Okay, so there we go. We've got a direct line through from Carlisle through to Glasgow. And we can run a combination of passenger and freight on that if we want to, but we're just going to be probably running passengers on that one. It's Edinburgh that needs the freight line. So, again, we'll have the option to maybe split at the station. Do we want to go underneath here, or do we want to go over? We probably want to go over. This is going to be a really, really pretty line when it comes to actually doing a ride along, I think, with these really big bridges and going over potentially, you know, other trains while we're running. I want to make sure it's functional as well as pretty to look at. So I think 3 and 3 is going to be the best, smoothest gradient that way. And then around here, instead of going over, we'll go around the side of the mountain. That'll cut the cost down. This is just where it's going to be expensive. We need to route out this way and go underneath his lines here, I think. Try dropping that down a bit. It doesn't want us to do that because we've got a bridge. So, instead of going under, we're going to have to go over. Don't have a choice in that. Let's take that out. It's now just whether we can get a controlled gradient going into Edinburgh. I might need to reposition Edinburgh Station. Let's do that. See if we can reposition as far back as we possibly can. Give us that extra little bit of room to climb.
Have you really not got the message that your station has no future here?
Let's see if we can actually do this way, where his track is already a little bit lower. So 6% doesn't appear to be any better. It doesn't look like we can go any better than that. And it's partly because of this contouring here and where his track is. That does look to be the best gradient we can get away with, which is steep. I would really prefer if I get that down to 5 or 4. I just don't think it's possible. I think it's 6% or nothing. That's 9%. We can at least try and keep it comfortable on the opposite end. If I route this that way, can I make any change? That's 6%. It's 6% or nothing, isn't it? So, given that, If I take that marker out, build my line there, like that. We'll just put a 2-track station in, I think, because I'm not going to have space to be able to put sidings in to separate those lines out. It's just not going to be possible. So we'll just have to do it like that until we buy out the dock, and then we can rip up everything he's got in Scotland, which is just a mess. I don't know why the AI insists on building such messy track systems. It makes it an absolute pain
that this town only needs one
to try and work around those lines. Always does the same. It loves to put these really unnecessary twiddly loops in. I mean, if we scroll out and have a look, I mean, just look at the mess that this is around here. It's like, and up here as well. I mean, look at this. It's like, it's just so messy. It's like the AI is frightened of going in a straight line, so you can see we're looping all the way around and around like this. You know, it's just ridiculous. It'll be the same in Ireland, and I get the feeling we're going to have to loop into Ireland as well. I just really hope that we don't have to run further north through Scotland once we've done Edinburgh and Glasgow. I hope we just have to buy out Doc, and then we can get rid of everything that he's done. So I think that is pretty much as good as we're going to get it. Let's put in our switchovers, so we can at least rotate the trains. That one's done. That one's a bit better. But there we go. We've got our northern connection over there. And we can, theoretically, possibly, link in this way. Okay, yeah, we can do that. So we can now route from Newcastle up to Edinburgh as well, which will help with the freight deliveries. We can use this bit of track here to send stuff up from our east coast. Or the northeast, as I should say. This is the northeast of England here. So it's not amazingly pretty in some respects. We really are struggling to work around the mess of track that he's put in. I mean, look at this, look, the way it loops around here and around here before then cutting back on itself and then going around there. It's just so messy. If it was me, I'd have had a station going on that sort of diagonal or slightly angled line like that, and then just have a straight line going there, and then a line that could then bend around, come down this way, and then I could just run a straight connection straight to Glasgow. But I mean, that's just a horrible sprawly mess. It is really, really bad. In fact, the only way to get to Glasgow from Edinburgh at the moment is to go this way through here. In fact, there is no direct. He hasn't even got a connection from Edinburgh to Glasgow, look. Unless you come down this way, around here, up this way, through Ayr, and then into Glasgow that way. That is just ridiculous. I mean, it makes no sense at all. Right. The tracks and the connections are built. I need to route some trains. I need to kind of finish off over here as well. So I'll do those little bits off camera. We'll get the trains up and running at the start of the next episode. And we'll start pushing cargo and passengers up into Scotland from Liverpool and other places. I need to start expanding Carlisle as well. So I need to get these pigs routed down in here. And start them growing. Carlisle's ham needs. I need to start routing fish up towards Carlisle. I'm going to need maybe some apples from Perry Estate going up towards Carlisle as well. So a bit of work still to do. I'll try and do all that background stuff between episodes, and then we'll get our Carlisle to So our Liverpool to Glasgow service up and running. Next episode, we'll get our freight going into Edinburgh next time out and start making a dent on those targets for our mission objectives. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with some more Railway Empire, Great Britain and Ireland Transport Revolution very soon.